This proves she thinks about you all the time. Psychology tricks. After years of hearing women talk, late at night, over coffee, in that "I swear I don't care" voice, one truth becomes obvious. When a woman is thinking about you all the time, she doesn't just feel different, she moves different. Her memory gets sharper, her timing gets intentional. Even her random moments start looking a little too perfectly placed to be random. As Antoine de Saint-Exupéry put it, love does not consist of gazing at each other, but in looking outward together in the same direction. And here's the thing, when she's constantly thinking about you, she starts looking outward with you in mind, even before she admits it to herself. In this video, I'm going to translate what most men miss. Not the obvious flirting, not the loud attention-seeking, the real signs, subtle, consistent, and very human. I'll break down 13 specific, real-world behaviors pulled straight from how women actually act when they're emotionally invested. Because when she's thinking about you all the time, she doesn't just remember your name, she remembers your details. She doesn't just reply, she returns. She doesn't just show up, she positions herself in your world. And if you stay with me until the end, the final sign will help you see something most men never notice. Whether she's already quietly building a future in her head and placing you inside it. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Because once you understand these signs, you'll stop guessing and start reading reality. 1. She quietly rewrites her plans around your possible yes. One of the clearest signs that she thinks about you far more than she lets on is this. She quietly rewrites her plans around the possibility of your yes, and most men completely miss it because they mistake intention for small talk. When she asks, "What are you up to later?" or "Are you around this weekend?" don't brush it off as casual conversation. That is not filler. That is scheduling disguised as curiosity. Female psychology works subtly, not loudly, and this is one of those psychology tricks that reveals itself only if you slow down and pay attention. Imagine you're at work, leaning back in your chair, scrolling through your phone, and she sends a relaxed message like, "I might check out that new burger place tonight, not sure yet." On the surface, it sounds undecided, almost indifferent, but underneath, something very different is happening. What you don't see is that she may already have another invitation waiting, another plan she could easily say yes to, but she hasn't. She's paused, she's waiting, not because she lacks options, but because in her mind, there's a question hovering quietly. What if he wants to see me? When a woman thinks about you consistently, your potential response earns space in her calendar before you ever do. She mentally leaves the door open for you. She delays commitment elsewhere because part of her is still emotionally available to the possibility of you stepping forward. That's how female psychology operates when interest is growing but not yet declared. She doesn't chase loudly. She creates openings. She floats ideas. She gives you room to lead. And here's where many men get it wrong. They shrug, they stay neutral, they respond vaguely. Don't do that. Don't assume she's just talking. Be present, be decisive. That is how you meet the moment without pressure. You don't need clever lines or exaggerated confidence. You simply acknowledge the opening. Say something grounded, something calm, something clear like, "If you haven't decided yet, I'd be down to join." That is not chasing. That is clarity. And clarity is powerful. Watch what happens next. Her schedule clears faster than you expect. Suddenly, the uncertainty disappears. Suddenly, she's available. Because the truth is, she already was. This is one of those psychology tricks rooted deeply in how to fall in love without rushing it, without forcing it, without words that feel heavy. Women often build emotional momentum internally first. They adjust their time. They protect the possibility. They wait to see if you recognize the signal. So don't dismiss these moments. Don't overthink them either. Understand them. Respect them. Respond with calm assurance. That balance, awareness without pressure, is how attraction quietly grows, and it's one of the most overlooked lessons in psychology tricks, female psychology, and how to fall in love the right way. 2. She turns random moments into stories she's saving just for you. 2. She turns random moments into stories she's saving just for you. And this is where most men completely underestimate what's happening right in front of them. You're walking out of the grocery store, hands full, phone buzzing, and she sends you a photo of a ridiculous sign, a crooked quote on a wall, or a dog wearing sunglasses. Most men glance at it and think, cute, she's bored. Don't make that mistake. Be sharper than that. What you don't see is the moment 10 seconds earlier, when she noticed that thing and your face appeared in her mind before she even unlocked her phone. That pause matters. That decision matters. She could have laughed and kept walking. She didn't. She stopped, captured the moment, and sent it to you so you could step into her day after the fact. That is not random. That is intention. When a woman thinks about you often, you start showing up in the quiet spaces of her life. The ordinary hours, the in-between moments. That is where real attachment forms. Female interest doesn't always announce itself with big gestures. It shows up in small acts of inclusion. She starts building a private highlight reel, and without saying it out loud, she chooses you as the audience of one. That is how emotional focus begins. That is how connection deepens. A high-value man understands this without getting carried away. He doesn't overreact. He doesn't play it cool either. He responds with presence. Notice how she says things like, "Remind me to tell you what happened at the meeting today," or "I saw something that screamed your name." That is her mind rehearsing you as her person. That is her testing emotional continuity. Don't brush past it. Don't reply with a lazy lull and disappear. When you do that, she pulls back without drama. The stories get smaller. The sharing slows down. But if you're grounded, if you carry masculine energy with calm confidence, you recognize these moments as open doors. Say, "Tell me the whole story. I want the full version." Say, "I like that you thought of me when you saw that." That is not validation seeking. That is emotional leadership. You're not chasing attention. You're acknowledging connection. This is how a high-value man attracts women without forcing anything. You reward the fact that she carried you in her thoughts all afternoon. And when she feels safe doing that, she goes deeper. Over time, the funny story turns into something more personal. The casual message turns into trust. One day she doesn't say, "This reminded me of you." She says, "Can I tell you something I haven't told anyone else?" That shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you showed up correctly in the small moments. That is how you attract women. That is how masculine energy is felt, not announced. And that is how a high-value man becomes unforgettable. 3. She corrects the way you remember your own stories. When a woman corrects the way you remember your own story, pay attention, because this is not interruption. It is investment, and it reveals a mind that has been quietly returning to you again and again. Picture the scene clearly. A couch, soft noise in the background, casual conversation flowing, and you casually misplace a detail from last summer, only for her to step in immediately with precision. The day, the weather, the black hoodie you wore. Not because she wants control, but because that moment has been replayed, refined, and stored with care in her memory. And here is the instruction you must understand. People do not remember what they do not value. They do not protect memories that mean nothing. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, meaning what she thinks about repeatedly becomes part of her inner world. When she remembers what you ordered, how you joked, who walked by, how you checked she got home safe, she is not being sentimental, she is cataloging emotional safety and personal meaning. This is where Old Stoic wisdom applies with force, because men who win in life do not rush to impress. They observe, they stay calm, they listen, they let reality reveal itself. This is Stoicism win in action, an iron mind that does not chase validation, but recognizes signals for what they are. Most men miss this because it does not look dramatic or romantic. Yet the strongest bonds are built quietly, through repetition, familiarity, and emotional consistency. When you respond with relaxed confidence, saying she remembers better and inviting her to tell the story her way, you do something powerful. You give her space. You give her voice. You show emotional steadiness. As Seneca taught, he who is brave is free, free from insecurity, free from the need to control outcomes. Listen carefully to the parts she lingers on, the moments she smiles at, because those moments reveal which version of you lives most vividly in her mind. That knowledge gives you leverage in modern life, where attention is fragmented and memory is scarce, because being remembered deeply is rare currency. Use this insight wisely. Do not overreact. Do not interrogate. Do not inflate your ego. Stay grounded. Stay observant. Stay composed. This is how an iron mind operates. This is how old Stoic wisdom guides modern relationships. This is how Stoicism win becomes practical, not theoretical. When you master calm presence, you master attraction without forcing it. You master connection without chasing it. You move forward with quiet certainty, knowing that when someone remembers you better than you remember yourself, you are already living rent-free in their inner world, and that is a victory built on self-control, awareness, and disciplined emotional strength. If this hit home, don't just think about it, claim it. When a woman remembers your stories better than you do, that's not coincidence. That's attention. That's emotional replay. That's you living rent-free in her mind. So here's your move. Drop a comment right now and write, "I am the man she remembers." Like this video, subscribe for more sharp psychological insight, and remind yourself daily, people don't remember what doesn't matter. If she remembers you, you matter. 4. She uses other people's names to ask questions that are really about you. When a woman uses other people's names to ask questions that are secretly about you, that is not random conversation. That is strategy. And understanding this is one of the most overlooked psychology tricks in female psychology, especially when you're trying to read subtle emotional signals without embarrassing her or yourself. Picture this. You're walking to the train together after work. The day feels ordinary, and out of nowhere, she casually says something like, "My friend is talking to this guy, and she can't tell if he's serious. What do you think she should do?" Most men hear that and immediately treat it like a generic advice column, giving logical answers, safe answers, neutral answers, and in doing so, they miss the moment entirely, including the quick sideways glance she gives you while pretending she doesn't care how you respond. That glance matters. It's not about the friend, it's about you. She's testing how you think, how you feel, how you judge situations involving commitment, effort, and emotional clarity. But she's not ready to put herself directly into the story yet because vulnerability feels risky, especially in the early stages of attraction. This is classic female psychology at work, and it shows up again and again when someone is slowly learning how to fall in love without exposing themselves too soon. Don't rush. Don't over-explain. Be calm. Be present. That is the moment to gently shift the frame, not with pressure, not with teasing, but with confidence and warmth. Smile, slow down, and say something simple and grounded like, "Okay, but if that were you, what would you want him to do?" That single sentence changes everything because now you're inviting her into emotional honesty without forcing it, and you're signaling that you're comfortable with real conversations. That is how psychology tricks actually work when used with maturity. You must understand this. When she listens very carefully to your reply after that, it's because she's measuring safety, intention, and emotional intelligence all at once. She's watching if you dismiss feelings or respect them. She's listening to see if you value clarity or avoidance. She's learning whether you're someone who understands how people fall in love through consistency and awareness, not pressure. Don't perform, don't posture. Be grounded. Be direct without being heavy. That is how you turn a disguised question into a genuine connection. This is why mastering female psychology isn't about manipulation. It's about awareness, timing, and emotional leadership. When you respond with presence and curiosity instead of autopilot logic, you separate yourself from most men without saying a word. Remember, these psychology tricks only work when they're paired with sincerity. If you stay calm, listen deeply, and guide the conversation gently forward, she won't just hear your words, she'll feel understood. And that's often the quiet moment when interest grows and how to fall in love begins without either of you having to say it out loud. 5. She spots micro shifts in you and nobody else seems to notice. That is not coincidence. You're at a loud birthday party, music blasting, people laughing, conversations overlapping, and you're half distracted, doing what most men do, holding it together, staying composed. Your smile drops for maybe 2 seconds. Just two. Across the room, surrounded by noise and movement, she still catches it. She mouths, "You okay?" Or suddenly she's right there beside you saying, "You seem a bit off. What happened?" Most men brush this off and think she's just being polite, just being kind, just being socially aware. Don't make that mistake. Be honest with yourself. Politeness doesn't track emotional changes that fast. Attention does. That is the live version of something deeper we've already talked about. When she's thinking about you all the time, she carries a mental baseline of you. She knows your normal rhythm, your usual energy, your default presence. So when something shifts, even slightly, it stands out to her immediately, the way a wrong note stands out in a familiar song. That is female intuition sharpened by emotional investment, and it's one of the quiet psychology tricks most men overlook when they're trying to attract women. You must understand this clearly. A high-value man isn't loud about his emotions, but he's also not invisible. When your inner state matters to her, she notices changes before you explain them. That's not mind reading. That's awareness built through attention. Masculine energy, when it's grounded and calm, creates contrast. When that contrast changes, she feels it. This is why men who carry themselves with consistency often attract women without chasing. Their emotional steadiness becomes familiar. So when it shifts, it's obvious to the woman who's been watching closely. Don't downplay that moment. Don't deflect it with humor or dismissal. Be present, be grounded, say less, not more. If you want to see this dynamic clearly, say something simple and observant like, "Wow, you notice everything with me," and then stop talking. That is not a line. That is an invitation. Watch her reaction. Watch how much she already clocked. Watch how easily she fills in details you never said out loud. That response tells you more than any direct confession ever could. A man who understands this doesn't chase reassurance. He recognizes patterns. He notices who is tuned in and who isn't. That is how a high-value man reads the room without forcing outcomes. This is also why masculine energy isn't about control, performance, or exaggeration. It's about presence. When you're centered, consistent, and emotionally regulated, women who are thinking about you all the time feel those micro shifts instinctively. That awareness is one of the most reliable psychology tricks there is because it can't be faked. If she notices when your smile fades for 2 seconds in a crowded room, she's not just being nice, she's already emotionally invested. And when you learn to recognize that calmly, without ego or pressure, you naturally attract women who are already paying attention, without having to ask for it. 6. She creates reasons to check in that don't actually need answers. When a woman creates reasons to check in that don't actually need answers, you need to stop reacting like a student being tested and start observing like a man who understands patterns, because patterns never lie. You're in bed at night, scrolling aimlessly, and her name appears with a random question, something she could solve in seconds on Google or ask anyone else without effort. Something like whether hoodies shrink more in the dryer or on a radiator, and most men miss the point entirely by rushing to provide the correct answer. But the question was never the point. The point was you. Notice when this happens. Notice the timing. It's usually late, the day is done, her mind is tired, the noise has quieted, and when her thoughts finally slow down, they drift toward you. That's not coincidence, that's emotional gravity. As old Stoic wisdom reminds us, what occupies your mind shapes your life. And in modern life, where attention is fragmented and constant stimulation numbs feeling, the person someone thinks to reach for at night matters more than any dramatic declaration. These questions don't demand urgency, yet they always open the door to conversation. Because when a woman thinks about you often, she looks for excuses that feel safe, light, and unforced. Not pressure, not drama. Safety. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and her thoughts are already tinted with your presence. Your response here is not about being clever, it's about being grounded. Do not shut it down with one-word replies. Do not over-explain. Stay relaxed. Stay present. A simple, playful response like, depends. What disaster are you trying to avoid? Or a calm acknowledgement like, you always message me with the most random things at night. I like it does more than any long answer ever could. You're signaling awareness. You're showing emotional intelligence. You're demonstrating an iron mind that doesn't chase, doesn't panic, and doesn't miss what's happening beneath the surface. This is Stoicism win in real time, understanding human nature without forcing outcomes. You're not calling her out. You're not demanding clarity. You're simply making it easier for her to lean in and eventually say what she actually wanted to say all along. In a world obsessed with speed and surface-level interaction, mastery comes from restraint, timing, and perception. As Seneca said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, and moments like these are opportunities disguised as small talk. Recognize them, handle them calmly, let repetition do the work. Because attraction grows where comfort and consistency meet, and when you respond with composure, humor, and quiet confidence, you reinforce a powerful truth. You are the place her mind feels safe to land. That's how you master connection. That's how you win with old Stoic wisdom. That's how you build an iron mind. And that is how Stoicism win shows up in modern relationships. If this hit home, don't just scroll past it. Pause for a second. This is where awareness turns into advantage. Like the video, share it with someone who needs clarity instead of confusion, and subscribe for more calm, psychology-backed insight. Now let's lock the lesson in. Comment to remember. When she creates small reasons to reach out, it means I already live in her thoughts. Drop that sentence in the comments. Say it once. Let it sit. Because men who notice patterns instead of chasing answers are the ones women keep thinking about. 7. She slips you into hypothetical scenarios just to see how it feels. 7. She slips you into hypothetical scenarios just to see how it feels. And this is one of the most revealing psychology tricks in female psychology because it shows where her mind already goes when she thinks about you. You're standing in the office kitchen, doing something ordinary like making coffee, and she casually says, if we ever got lost in another country, I feel like you'd be the one calming everyone down. Most men miss this completely. They laugh, they deflect, they change the subject. Don't do that. Hear the key word, we. That single word matters more than the compliment. She isn't just talking about a situation. She's running a quiet mental rehearsal where you are already beside her, already part of the same unit, already someone she relies on. That is how attraction deepens before it ever becomes obvious. This is how to fall in love at the psychological level, long before emotions are openly discussed. These if-we moments are her safe way of testing a future with you without risking embarrassment, rejection, or pressure. She gets to feel what closeness with you would be like while still pretending it's just a thought experiment. That is female psychology in action, subtle but intentional. You must not dodge it. You must not shrink it. You must meet it calmly. Say something grounded and confident like, we'd actually make a good travel team. Nothing dramatic, nothing needy, just present, just steady. That response tells her you're comfortable being included in her inner world. And here's the part most men don't expect. When you respond this way, she almost always brings up another us scenario later. Different setting, different situation, same pattern. That's because your calm acceptance makes her feel safe, exploring the idea further. This is one of those psychology tricks that isn't about manipulation, but about awareness. Don't chase. Don't overinterpret. Be present. Be relaxed. Let the moment breathe. When a woman keeps placing you into imagined futures, she's already thinking about you when you're not there. She's already assigning you a role in her life. That's how emotional attachment forms quietly. That's how to fall in love begins without grand declarations. Pay attention, respond with confidence, let her continue the story. 8. She brings you into rooms you're not in yet. 8. She brings you into rooms you're not in yet. And if you understand this, you understand one of the clearest signs that you're already living in her mind. You're at home, gaming, or watching YouTube, half checked out, when she messages, "My friends keep asking about that guy from work," then adds a laughing emoji like it's no big deal. Most men get distracted by the emoji. Don't. Miss that, and you miss everything. Focus on the headline. You are being talked about in rooms you've never entered. That means when something happens in her day, your name comes up naturally. Not because you pushed your way in, not because you demanded attention, but because you're already there. That is female behavior when interest has moved beyond curiosity and into relevance. Be clear about this. S. When she says, "I told my sister about that joke you made," or "My flatmate thinks you seem really chill from your texts," she's not just sharing trivia. She's revealing that you've crossed an invisible line. You're no longer compartmentalized. You're being woven into the fabric of her daily life. That is what happens when a woman thinks about you all the time. She can't keep you isolated. She leaks you into conversations, group chats, and family calls without even realizing she's doing it. Don't downplay that. Don't brush it off. Be grounded enough to recognize what it means. Let me be direct. If she is voluntarily submitting you for review by the important people in her world, you are not background noise. You are not entertainment. You are a candidate. And this is where being a high-value man matters. A high-value man doesn't panic at attention. He doesn't overperform. He stays calm. He understands that real attraction grows when masculine energy stays steady and relaxed under the spotlight. You must lean into this gently, not with pressure, not with interrogation. Say something simple like, "Okay, now I'm curious what they actually said about me." Or, "Careful, you're building up my reputation." That response does two things. First, it shows confidence without arrogance. Second, it signals that you're comfortable being seen. That is attractive. That is how you attract women without chasing them. Be aware of this truth. The opinions of the people around her matter more than you think. When she brings you into those conversations, she's already imagining how you fit long term. That's not fantasy. That's evaluation. A man who understands this doesn't rush. He stays consistent. He stays present. He lets his actions match his words. This is where masculine energy shows up quietly, not loudly. A high-value man doesn't need to force his image. He lets it form naturally through trust and familiarity. If you want to attract women at a deeper level, pay attention to moments like this. Don't dismiss them. Don't overreact. Be centered. Be curious. Be composed. Because when she's talking about you in rooms you've never entered, you're already closer than you think, and the door is opening whether you touch it or not. 9. She gets irritated when something interrupts your tiny routines together. When a woman starts getting irritated when something interrupts your tiny routines together, that reaction is not random and it is not moodiness. It is evidence of emotional investment, and you need to recognize it clearly and respond correctly. Those small, repeat moments you share, walking out of the building at the same time, ending up on voice chat while you both unwind at night, trading jokes by the coffee machine, may feel casual on the surface, but they have quietly become anchors in her day. So when your manager keeps you late or a friend takes the seat next to her, and you catch that quick flash of irritation, followed by a slightly sharp, "Wow, busy today," you are witnessing attachment forming in real time. Most men mishandle this moment by over-apologizing or brushing it off. But what is really happening is far more meaningful. She has built emotional structure around you. As William James said, "The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated, and those routines are where she feels seen, grounded, and emotionally steady." In modern life, where everything feels rushed, chaotic, and fragmented, those predictable micro-rituals become rare points of calm, and when she thinks about you often, she protects them instinctively. This is Old Stoic wisdom in action. What we value, we guard. She plans her day around that walk, that call, that shared pause, and when it disappears, it feels like a scene she was waiting for has been cut short. Ignore this pattern long enough, allow others to casually replace that space, and the open door slowly begins to close, not with drama, but with quiet emotional withdrawal. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "Pay attention to what you let into your mind," and the same applies to relationships. Attention is currency. The correct response is calm, grounded, and intentional. You simply acknowledge the missing moment. You say, I missed our usual walk today, that meeting ran over. Or, we got interrupted earlier, I still owe you that story. No pressure, no over-explaining, just awareness. That acknowledgement tells her you notice the absence too, that the routine matters to you as much as it matters to her. This is where iron mind discipline separates reactive men from composed men. You don't chase. You don't apologize excessively. You lead with presence. In Stoicism, win philosophy, consistency creates trust, and trust deepens attachment. Each time you honor those small repeat moments, you reinforce emotional safety and mutual investment. As Seneca said, wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. And here, kindness is attentiveness. Master this, and you master the subtle mechanics of connection. This is not manipulation. This is awareness. This is control of self. This is old Stoic wisdom applied to modern relationships. Hold your ground. Notice the details. Respond with calm certainty. That is how you build attraction that lasts, how you develop an iron mind, and how Stoicism win becomes something you live, not just something you read. If you're still watching, this is where most men miss the point. They overlook the small moments that quietly build emotional attachment and then wonder why the connection fades. Don't be that guy. Notice the routines. Protect the rituals. Show her you value the moments she values. Comment this below to lock it in. I notice the small moments and I show up for them. Say it, mean it, and start becoming the man she plans her day around. 10. She treats your opinions like a weather report she checks before moving. She doesn't treat your opinions like small talk. She treats them like a weather report she checks before she moves. Picture this. You're sitting in your car outside the gym, or you're killing time at a bus stop, and your phone lights up with her message, be honest. Should I say yes to this trip? Or, I'm thinking of changing my hair. What do you think? Most men hear that and assume it's casual. Don't. That is not casual. That is a signal. Because when a woman is truly tuned into you, she doesn't just ask what you think, she uses what you think as a forecast for her next step. You're not just giving feedback, you're the umbrella check before she walks out into the day. And here's where female psychology gets quietly revealing. She'll start referencing your past reactions like they're already stored in her mental calendar. You know how you hate that crowded bar? They want to go there again. Read that again. Your preferences are living in her head, not as trivia, but as part of the decision-making equation. That's one of the most overlooked psychology tricks in real life. When someone repeatedly adjusts their choices based on what you like, it's often because you're repeatedly present in their mind. Don't drift off here. This is the part most men miss. When a woman thinks about you all the time, she begins aligning tiny life decisions with the version of herself she imagines standing next to you. She's not changing for a man in some dramatic movie scene. It's subtler. She tweaks. She edits. She quietly chooses the plan that fits the life she hopes you might share. If she changes her style, turns down events you've openly said you'd never enjoy, or chooses options that make it easier for you to join, she may not be indecisive at all. She may be investing. She may be building a bridge one small plank at a time. And yes, this connects to how to fall in love in the real world, because love often begins as attention, then turns into adjustment, then becomes attachment. But here's the line you must not cross. Your role is not to control her choices. Don't become the judge. Don't become the manager. Be the safe place she can think out loud. Respond with care, not ego. Instead of shrugging or giving some cold, whatever you want answer, guide her back to herself. What would make you happiest here? Then add something that keeps her relaxed and real. If we end up hanging out, I'd love you in whatever feels most you. That is leadership without pressure. That is confidence without manipulation. That is the clean, healthy way to use psychology tricks, not to twist her, but to understand her. Because the truth of female psychology is this: when she keeps checking your opinion before she moves, she's not just asking a question, she's revealing a pattern, and patterns don't lie. If she's quietly shaping her world with you in mind, you're already in her thoughts more than you think. 11. She handles your bad days like she's been watching the forecast. She handles your bad days like she's been watching the forecast. That is not accidental. You wake up already behind the day. Traffic crawls, emails stack up. One person keeps pushing the same button they always push. You don't announce it. You don't complain. You just change temperature. Your replies get shorter. You go quiet in the game lobby. You pull back a notch. And before anyone else even notices the shift, she's already there. You okay today? You sound different. What's up? Most men shrug this off and call it kindness. Don't. Kindness is general. This is precise. She doesn't send a random cheer-up meme. She doesn't toss out empty motivation. She references exactly what happened. That meeting sounded rough. Your boss really piled it on, didn't he? That level of accuracy doesn't come from guessing. It comes from attention. It comes from time. It comes from her quietly learning your rhythm over days and weeks, so when you're off by just a few degrees, she feels it immediately. Be clear about what this means. When a woman tracks your emotional weather this closely, you're already living in her awareness. She's not reacting to noise, she's responding to pattern. That is female psychology at work in its most honest form. She notices how you text when you're tired. She remembers how you sound after a long meeting. She recognizes the silence that only shows up when something matters to you. This is one of the strongest signals that you attract women without forcing anything, because it shows emotional presence, not performance. A high-value man doesn't need to announce his stress for it to be seen. His energy shifts, and the right woman feels it. That is masculine energy in its grounded form, calm, consistent, readable. Don't make the mistake most men make here. Don't brush it off. Don't joke it away. Don't say, "I'm fine," when you're clearly not. Because when you dismiss her concern, she learns a quiet lesson. Keep it to yourself. And once that happens, the checking in stops. Not because she stopped caring, but because she learned you don't make room for it. Instead, let her in just enough. You must respond with honesty, not drama. Try this. "Yeah, today sucked more than usual. Thanks for noticing." Then share one real detail. One. That's it. No spiral, no unloading, just a window. Watch what happens next. She moves from checking in to quietly standing in your corner. No noise, no spotlight, just presence. And that tells you exactly where you sit in her mind. A man who can receive care without losing his center is a high-value man. A man who stays grounded on bad days is a man who continues to attract women naturally. Masculine energy isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about staying steady while being real. That is how connection deepens. That is how interest turns into loyalty. And that is how you know, without guessing, that she's been thinking about you all along. 12. She recaps her day in a way that puts you in the best scenes. When a woman consistently recaps her day in a way that places you inside the most vivid, emotional, and meaningful moments, you need to understand this clearly and without confusion. This is proof she thinks about you far more than she lets on, and this is not casual behavior. You're half listening to a video, scrolling, relaxed, and suddenly her voice note arrives. Not a dry summary, not "my day was okay," but a carefully framed story where every scene is filtered through your reactions, your humor, your preferences. She mentions the train breaking down because she knows you would have laughed. She brings up the coworker because she remembers exactly what irritates you. This is not random chatter. This is deliberate selection. As the old Stoic wisdom teaches us, attention is the currency of the mind, and where attention flows, thought already lives. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts," and in moments like this, her thoughts are clearly colored by you. She is not merely describing events, she is curating them. She is editing her life as if you are already seated beside her, already part of the experience, already relevant to her emotional world. Most men miss this because they are distracted, passive, or unsure of their own value, so they respond with an emoji, a laugh reaction, or a short reply. That is a mistake. When you respond properly, calmly, and with presence, saying something grounded like, "I can picture all of that," or confidently suggesting, "Next time that happens, call me live," you shift roles instantly. You are no longer an observer. You become the man she wants in the frame. This is how modern connection works in real life, through voice notes, messages, and shared moments across screens. Yet the psychology remains ancient. Stoicism win is about recognizing signals without chasing them, about stepping into meaning without forcing it. An iron mind understands that attraction grows through emotional relevance, not pressure. Repeat this to yourself. Relevance beats intensity. Presence beats performance. Calm beats noise. When she narrates her day like a story made for you, your job is not to impress, not to rush, not to overanalyze. Your job is to stand steady and respond with clarity. Seneca reminded us, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, and this is your opportunity to show emotional leadership. Speak slowly, speak simply, be grounded. Let her feel that sharing with you feels natural, safe, and satisfying. This is old Stoic wisdom applied to modern communication. This is Stoicism win in action. This is how an iron mind moves through attraction with confidence and control. Remember this. If she is framing her life through your eyes, she is already carrying you in her thoughts. Your role now is to remain centered, intentional, and unmistakably present. If this hit home, give the video a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Subscribe for more real psychology and quiet confidence. Comment to remember. She sees the world through my eyes. Because when a woman retells her day by placing you into the best scenes, she's not just talking, she's inviting you into her life. 13. She waits to experience certain things until you can share them. When a woman truly thinks about you all the time, one of the quietest yet strongest signals appears in how she handles experiences, because instead of rushing to consume life on her own, she pauses and saves certain moments for you, and that choice reveals far more than words ever could. She walks past a new restaurant everyone is talking about, or hears about a show that's trending everywhere, and she doesn't jump in right away. Instead, she smiles and says she's saving it for when you can go together, or admits she almost started it but stopped because it would feel better with you there. And that is not coincidence. That is intention. Most people live fast, act first, and mention things later. But when female psychology shifts into emotional attachment, she begins to curate memories before they even happen, because she wants your presence woven into the very first impression of that experience. That is how to fall in love slowly and deeply, by associating joy, novelty, and anticipation with one specific person. Don't dismiss this. Don't shrug it off. Don't answer with vague lines like, "Yeah, maybe someday," because uncertainty drains momentum, and hesitation quietly tells her you don't value the moment the same way she does. Be decisive. Be grounded. Say, "Okay, let's actually pick a time," or smile and say, "Don't watch it without me. I'm in." Because clarity builds safety and enthusiasm at the same time. That is one of the most overlooked psychology tricks in connection, matching emotional investment without over-explaining it. You must understand this: when she delays pleasure to include you, she is already imagining a shared future, even if she hasn't labeled it yet. And if you fail to meet that energy, the door doesn't slam shut dramatically. It closes quietly, without argument, without warning. Psychology tricks don't always look clever or manipulative. Often they look simple, calm, and present. And this is where understanding female psychology gives you an edge, not by forcing attraction, but by recognizing it when it's already there. Be the man who steps forward when the invitation is subtle. Be the man who values shared moments as much as shared words. That is how to fall in love in real life, not through pressure, not through performance, but through mutual intention, clear action, and the quiet confidence to say yes when she has already made space for you. All right, my friend, that brings us to the end of today's video. If you found this valuable, do me a favor, hit the like button, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Your support really helps this message reach the right people. Now I want to hear from you. What part of this stood out the most? Did any of these signs match your own experience? If you have a different perspective, a question, or even a disagreement, drop it in the comments. This is a space for real discussion, not guesswork. Remember, clarity beats confusion. When you understand the psychology, you stop overthinking and start moving with confidence. I'll see you in the next video.